Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Heavyweights Podcast, Take 3. I'm Ashton Hines. I'm battling technology this morning. I'm manhandling cords and computers and power outlets and a whimpering dog right outside my door.
You just have too many.
We'll push through.
You got too many gadgets in your office. Mine is you have a phenomenal office and setup, and but you've got too many things going on. So.
Yeah, when it goes right, I'm like the Tesla. When it goes right, it's great. But if you have to take it to the shop, it's going to be very complicated and expensive. You drive the 1941 Chevy version of podcast equipment. It's just like turn it on, drive in one direction. It works pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a great example because your car has been in the shop for 2 years. But old Josephine.
I know where you were trying to go with it. It's like one of three things, though, right?
Yeah, Josephine's like it's either the steering, it's the wheels, or it's the transmission. It's like, yeah. Unfortunately, you waited. I felt bad because you waited 2 years to get your car back. I had actually never seen your car in person. That was like a weird gap of, so, I'd seen these pictures. We became good friends, got to really know each other over this last 2 years, basically. And so it must have gone into the shop right before we really started hanging out and you started helping me out with my flips. And so I knew of your car and you would mention it every once in a while. Well, then hey man, my car's ready. They're delivering it today. I'm like, all right, cool. So we go over to your house. They unload it. I'm taking a video. You're like, yeah, let's go for a ride. We get in there. You drive me around the block. It does pretty good. It's like a weird shift here and there, but like it does pretty good. 3 on the tree, kind of a unique experience. And we get back around to the house and I don't remember what made you think about it, but you're looking underneath. Yeah. You're like, something's dripping right there. And so I get under there with my camera and my video thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's green. And it was like a pool of green stuff coming from the engine. And you're like, man.
And the brand new engine.
Yeah, you call the guy and you're like,
rebuilt transmission.
I don't think this is supposed to happen. He's like, I'll bring it back in. You're like, oh my gosh.
Yep, here we go again. I did get a call last week that it was ready. And then I was supposed to go up there and drive it with the guy. And then we just had a lot going on. So, and the other challenge is Landon came home from college. So most of the Landon's college stuff is in my garage right now. So I got to figure out where that's going and pull the garage apart. And it's not terrible. I mean, we keep the garage pretty organized with Tabitha's cars in there and the Harleys in there, but I've got to move things around and move the Harley in front of her car and have a place for the 41 to go. So I haven't been super motivated to go get the car now. And it's also, 100 degrees out. So not that the car is now built to handle the temperature, which it wasn't before. But it does not have AC. And because it's an original 6-volt battery system, they don't make an aftermarket AC that will run off a 6-volt. So unless you completely modify the car, and it's just not the right car to do that. If I was going to modify a car, it'd be a different vehicle. So this car deserves to stay, as classic and OEM as possible. Yeah.
I mean, and it's not a resto mod. And I know this is not a car talk podcast, but I grew up in a car family. I like the Facebook group for the luxury cars and garages, trying to throw that out there for folks. Love going to car shows. And so if you're going to do a classic car, if it were me, I would love to do like a resto mod, which is you get the cool old looks, but all the guts or a lot of the guts are new, and you have new suspension, new engine, AC, all that stuff, because classic cars are neat. But when you go from, it has to be a crazy experience for you to go from like driving Tabitha's Tesla into driving Josephine. It's like so different. And the suspension, I mean, your boat has better suspension than Josephine. it's like this rocking sort of just, so you can't really take it on a ton of high, you're not driving around all day, every day. And so the air conditioning thing, I'm sure, is annoying, but at least you're not going, super, super long distances.
Yeah.
I don't know that you anticipate doing any
old school ventilation in there that, definitely
yeah.
produces more vent.
Well, I had old
more
school
airflow.
ventilation in what was that, a 2013 Hyundai Sonata hybrid that I drove around
Yeah.
last year, and I was being stubborn about because I'd already spent too much money to try to fix, and its air conditioning quit working.
Yeah.
And not only did the air conditioning quit working, but then the car started to overheat. And one of the solutions to help with an overheating car is you turn the heater on and it pulls heat off the engine.
Oh, God.
And so I would run around in Dallas during the summer with my windows down, with the heater blasting.
Oh, my gosh.
And I would just show up to a house just sweating. And that's not a great look. So I drove that until I literally couldn't. And I took it over to when I got the 4Runner, which, talk about analog. I got the 2002 4Runner, which is as analog as it gets. And over there at Ewing GMC in Plano, and I showed them the Hyundai, and they drove it, and they're like, we'll give you $250 for this. And that was my trade-in value for that, because it was like worthless. I mean, it had so many things wrong with it. They were like,
they gave you the value of the tires.
We won't charge you to take it off your hands. That's kind of like what they were like. Help. Yeah, they're like, you left enough change in the seats that we'll just go and give you a little credit for that. So, real estate world has been very busy. I know you've been busy. I'm going today to take photos of a couple listings that I'm about to put on. I'm working with a company, and I'm really pretty excited about it. It's going to be a lot of work for just to get the mechanics down, but I'm working with a property management group, and they're going to use me to put their listings out. And they have a small portfolio right now, but I know they're working to grow. And they have a lot of really cool software. I sat in on a call yesterday just to kind of see behind the curtain on how a very professionally managed portfolio is done, and all the different things they offer their landlords, their value to their investors that they give, the things they take off of investors' plates. And then also from a tenant standpoint, the different services that they offer that are upsells, which are really interesting. They have a thing called a resident benefit package, which I guess is becoming very common in a lot of property management groups. And it's pretty much like you're going to pay this. It's not really negotiable. It's like, I can't remember what theirs is. I think it's $69 a month or something, but you get, or maybe it's $39. They give you air filters every quarter to put in the system. They have different discounts on different things. They have a concierge. They have, all this stuff that you can call and take care of all your problems with the property. I know it comes with something, not just filters. It comes with something else that's kind of a benefit to the resident, but it's also a benefit to the landlord. It kind of keeps the place up. And so I guess a lot of folks are going to that, and it really adds to the bottom line of the property management company. So it's kind of cool to see all that. But my part is going to be getting it marketed, taking pictures, taking video, signing the yard, lockbox on the door, starting to do the showings, trying to get people, get leases on these houses before they really hit the market. But we're going to put them on the MLS as well. And we're going to talk a little bit later about the Zillow and Compass lawsuit about putting things on the MLS. I don't think this will pertain to leases. Maybe I would highly doubt that, but I guess it could impact them. But yeah, that's exciting for me. I've got a house coming on the market, want an investor soon. I'm working with a couple from California that is looking for a house. I got another buyer that we're under contract with.
Don't say that too loud. Everyone's got a phobia about Californians moving here to Texas. So
these are good folks. These folks are from. What's funny is that this guy's more Texan than I am, man. He's like, he showed up in like wearing a cinch hat and boots and jeans, and I said something. He's like, "Oh yeah, we run cattle up in I can't remember Monterey."
Wow.
And yeah, they have like a little cattle farm there, and they're just coming over here to kind of be near family and downsizing a little bit. So yeah, it was funny showing them stuff. But yeah, great couple, and it's been a lot of fun communicating with them. So
Awesome.
tell us about your world. I know you're super busy, walking a lot of houses, running a lot of numbers.
We've had a lot going on.
Flip business is picking up.
We've probably mentioned it before, the townhome that we had in North Dallas, and drove multiple offers, and I can talk about it now. We ended up closing at $50,000 over asking.
Wow.
Which is amazing. I haven't had one of those happen in quite some time. So that was quite amazing. And not only that,
but you had underwritten that property at a lower value because originally it was a 2-bedroom, and we did the underwriting. We walked it originally thinking, okay, I'm going to make an offer, and it's a 2-bedroom. And then in the process, you figured out how to add value to make it a 3-bedroom. So that was going to help anyway. And
absolutely.
Then it ran, and it just was just like we've talked about before. You hit singles and doubles, and every once in a while, put yourself out there and you hit a home run. And this one was one of those for sure.
It was amazing. Yeah. And not only that, the buyer, it ended up being the agent, the agent's mom was buying the house. So, he didn't take a commission. He waived his BAC. So that is a nice bonus, especially at that price point. So, so that one worked out really well. That closed and funded last week. We are down to one active project right now, which is in North Garland, coming soon. And that one's kind of cool too. That turned out to be somewhat of a value add as well, because it had, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. It's an early 2000s build. It's very similar to the Dabney layout that we did a few months ago, and did pretty good on the Dabney project.
Because you added an office, which is becoming more and more of a nice thing to offer. Yeah, especially in those those open rooms where you have the kind of like a weird front,
the stacked
sitting and then dining,
the stacked formals. The 2000 floor plan that you walk in, and to the right or left you've got formal living and formal dining all in one big open room, and then you go through a casing, and then you go into kitchen's open to the family room. But it lend itself to pop in 2 walls and close it in to actually make a true office. It didn't cost a lot to do it, and so now it's going to be a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage with a study. So and it's 1 story. It's in a great neighborhood with community pools and tennis courts and stuff. So I'm excited for that one to hit. We're painting it currently, so we're a couple of weeks out from completion. So that one's moving right along. We just inked another deal that we're in escrow on. I've got another contract, and that one's in Garland as well. And then we have another one I'm waiting to come back. Hopefully today I'll get it executed. If not, it might be after the 4th. But that one's it's actually technically Dallas, but it's Richardson ISD. It's north of 635. It's near Richland College. That one's coming up. That one's a big, like 2,700 square foot, 1 story, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. A lot of custom features in it. Big, tall ceilings, paneled walls. That'll be fun. So we can have fun with that, with styling and stuff like that. Yeah. And the owner had insurance, so they're actually getting part of the negotiation was them actually putting a new roof on it and staining the fence and fixing the gutters. So that's kind of nice to have that done up front. And then I'm super excited, and we might have mentioned this before, but we probably did, just because we took a road trip out to Terrell, and we're supposed to be closing Terrell commercial property tomorrow. So,
I was going to ask you about that. Okay.
Yeah, it was supposed to happen Monday, but the seller is negotiating a lien payoff, and that's taken a little bit of time. It's stuck with the attorneys, so they extended it to tomorrow, and hopefully it'll happen. I haven't heard any updates as of yesterday, so we'll see what happens, and this might get pushed past the holiday depending on people's vacation schedules.
Yeah, I was going to ask you details, but I mean, so maybe we can wait till it closes, and you can talk about the whole deal. But It's a small little commercial deal over in
Yeah,
Terrell,
it's a
right
little industrial
downtown.
flex space, metal building,
Hmm.
metal roof. Pretty
I felt
simple.
like I was in. I'll be honest with you. I went over there with you, and I felt like I was in a Jason Bourne movie because you know how in that first movie where he just like wakes up, he doesn't know who he is, and all of a sudden he has like all these crazy ninja skills where
Uh-huh.
he can speak French and somehow he knows like how to do like these crazy things. He's like, I don't even know. This is just built into who I am. And I think
Yeah.
everybody, me personally, I just always had this desire to be Jason Bourne. So we open up this door. We open up the door. We're supposed to be there. They knew we were coming, but no one was there. And they have this alarm system. And all of a sudden, this alarm
That was
system just
amazing.
beeping, just beeping,
Yeah.
beeping. And
And
we're
I'm
like,
on
oh
the
my
phone
gosh.
trying to call the agent,
Yeah, he's like
you know.
panic calling the agent. And I just sit over there on that keypad in about effort
you
number two,
you
just
cracked
turn
the
it
code,
off. I
man.
cracked the code. I just, I don't even remember which. I was like, oh, it's probably. I would say it had something to do with the address or something, or maybe it was just right down the middle, or I don't even know. But I was like, that,
Yeah.
and it just turned off. I'm like,
You cracked the
did I
code. I was
just
like,
turn off
what the
the
hell?
alarm? It's like this is pretty
And
great.
then we tested it again. We are like, wait, did
Yeah,
that actually work? Once I had the real code, then
yeah.
like we tried yours again and it worked. And
Turned
we
it
were like,
off
holy
again.
smokes.
I know. Yeah, I felt man. I was
Yeah,
like,
that was definitely like Mission Impossible
I
kind
know
of
I had
stuff,
this past life
Mission
that just trained me
Impossible,
for a time
Bourne.
just like
Yeah,
that.
you knew it because I
Yep.
mean it was before the cops showed up.
But the cops didn't show up or anything. So, but yeah, it was a cool building and right next to
Yeah,
a nice
that'll be
little farmers
co-
market. So,
commercial investment number 2 for us. So
yeah.
super excited about that, and just when opportunities come about, be able to you know open up and look into it. So here's a cool thing. I heard this the other day, and this is something um, I think I mentioned before. I went to Scottsdale, Arizona for my first KW Wealth
Yeah.
Mastermind. Something that I set a goal this year to get involved in, into a mastermind that I felt like I could gain some value and push my skill sets, push my thinking process when it comes to real estate investing, especially building wealth for my family and legacy, etc. And so I joined KW Wealth a few months ago, and it's been going great. There's a lot of value there. Essentially, I went there, and the cool thing with that story was, I went there. I was there for a couple days, early May, and literally when I got back, like I got a Facebook um, message, along those lines of this opportunity for this property in Terrell, and immediately just my mind was in the right space, and I went, how do I make this work?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just like, hey, I'm interested. Let's dive in. And so one of the things that was talked about, there was a guy speaking on the KW Wealth weekly call last week, and the conversation was, that I forget exactly what the quote is, but it's one of those things that's like, it's not that you learn something new. It's that you change your mindset to be more aware. So it's things that oh, it was not that it was a new opportunity. These opportunities exist in your life each and every day. And if you're in real estate and you're showing up and you're doing business and you're making phone calls and you're building relationships and you're looking and searching for property, all the things that you're doing each and every day and exposed to each and every day, it's not that you don't have the opportunities, because those opportunities exist each and every day, but it's you having the mindset shift,
Mm-hmm.
that your mind is shifted in a way that now you're looking at an opportunity differently.
Yeah.
So in traditional real estate, your mind goes to, how do I list it? Yeah, how do I get a commission out of this deal? How do
Mm-hmm.
I build a relationship with the seller? How do I build a relationship with the buyer? The difference is, once you kind of unlock and you're in a position where you can start thinking for yourself, then you start thinking, can I own it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's your first question. Is
Mm-hmm.
this something I can buy? And so your mindset shifts to, is this something I could buy?
Yeah.
Then the next thing is, how do I make this, how do what else could I do? Can I list it? Or there's several different
Or can I
ways
do it
that you
again?
can.
Can I scale it? Can I do a bigger one?
Yeah, there was a whole screenshot that I did, and it was, I don't know if I can find it quickly or not, but it was basically
well, the
kind
scary
of the
part
high.
about that too is like, even
All right,
within
here you
your
go.
dreaming of the commercial stuff, like what would be the next level or the next level above that? Like if you started paying attention to small industrial or,
Mm-hmm.
a marina, or like you become expert in another area. Like, okay, yeah, those guys who just bought 422 acres just north of the McKinney Airport, which we read an article about. They somehow put themselves in a position to know, like, hey, this is a great deal, and let's how to put this together. And it's not some lucky magic wand. You start learning that stuff, put yourself around those people that are doing those types of deals. You know how to structure them, and
Exactly.
and then you figure it out. So that's what's cool about KW Wealth is that
So
you're around those people.
so here I found it, and I think I sent this to you. I may not have, but and basically the question is, what is your deal hierarchy? And it says, focus on where you can make the most money. So number one in big bold letters is, can I buy it? Question mark. Number two is, can I control it? Question mark. Number three would be, can I quick flip it? Question mark. Number four is, can I create value and flip it? Question mark. And then below that, it says, can I double end it with a retail buyer? So can I secure the opportunity? And then do I have a buyer that's available for this property? Like, can I call my database and,
Mm-hmm.
play matchmaker? We do this with Keith a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and some of these deal flows that are coming through on uh, lots, right? Vacant lots. And then the last one is, can I list it? So the difference is, like, we're brought into real estate with the mindset of, can I help this person buy it? Can I help this person list it? Is
Yeah.
number one. And in this case, can I list it is the very last
It's like
mindset
last resort.
that you have in a
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
So this was huge to me, and hearing this the other day, and I've definitely really turned the switch on for me in 2019. I want to say is when I really said, okay, I'm looking at deals all the time, and obviously I've been in the fix and flip side since 2009 and 2009. So for a long time, it's been, how do we flip it? How do we, or if I can't flip it, do I list it? What do I do with it? And here and there, sometimes thinking, can I make this a rental? Right. But we know the rental game has changed. So there's been a lot of different things to look at with that. But it has really shifted my mind to, how do I look at this differently? And actually, I go back, the commercial building in Garland. And I may have told you this before. In 2018, I helped a family sell a property that was in Garland, and they were downsizing because the gentleman was older and had 24-hour health care,
Mm-hmm.
and he was needing to downsize from this big property. It was on like 5 acres of land, nice property, but he was downsizing to something more manageable. And we moved him from like North Garland on this 5 acre estate to Saxe.
Hmm.
So I helped the family sell and get involved with them and helped them find another property and buy it. And they were able to use the like the proceeds and, pay off the loan and then pay cash for the other one. Anyways, along that discussion was, hey, this gentleman who needs 24-hour care also owns this strip center in Garland,
Mm.
and the city's on our butt, and we don't have the extra capital to take care of this thing, but we're doing the bare minimum right now, but we're going to be listing it, or we need your help to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was our strip center, 1918
Mm.
East Miller Road in Garland. And so when that first happened, I drove out there. I got the address. I drove out there, and I think I still have the video in my phone. And I
Mm.
drove it. And at the time, I had a business partner, and I drove the parking lot and I looked at it, and the mindset was, you know, looking at a listing opportunity, but I drove it and I looked at it and I'm like, how do I buy it? And that was what was in the back of my mind. And so I immediately called my business partner and I'm like, hey, got this opportunity. Man, I think it's something that we could do. It's a value add kind of property. Like there's a lot of upside here. What do you think? And I sent him a video and he just kind of blew it off. He was just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I don't, and we didn't really have a system in our business and our partnership to own long-term property. So
Yeah.
it made sense that, it was dismissed pretty quick, but it was in my mind.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, if it's in my mind, what does this look like? And so I just stayed true with it and just stayed in communication. And they ended up keeping the property up until he passed away in 21 because it was cash flow. It was paid for. And even though it wasn't maintained well, it still was a paycheck they could depend on all the way up until he passed. So when he passed, then the kids were like, now they're looking for a big paycheck, right? And so that's when the opportunity came up, and I almost missed it because I threw out a number right when I found out he passed, and it kind of got dismissed, and I didn't follow up. And then Thanksgiving came, and my mother-in-law actually brought it up to me again. And I thought, you know what? I haven't followed up on this. So I followed up again, and she goes, oh, well, you threw us a low number, and we got somebody that's going to give us a higher number, and we didn't think you were interested. I was like, oh, crap. I was like, well, what do I need to be? Yes, I'm interested. Yes, if it's serious, we can make this work. What do we need to be? And they actually came back with a number, and it was like Thanksgiving week, and I was like, do it. Let's roll.
That's
this
awesome.
is what I can do. I mean, I did more research than that, but essentially, it was like, I'm your guy. Let's go. And so, that
That's
was
awesome.
essentially 5 years later after the opportunity. So it's amazing what you can do in 5 years. People underestimate what they can do in a year, or they overestimate what they can do in a year, and they underestimate what they can do in 5 years.
Yeah.
So,
long story short on mine, my very first, my second flip that actually did anything, Mr. Anderson, he was a patient at the time. And over the course of about 6 to 8 months, we became, basically friends in a way. He grew up in West Texas, and he trusted me and liked me. And I had started thinking about flipping in real estate. And when he said he was thinking about moving, that, like, just like you said, like, you kind of think, well, would it be possible to flip this house? Like, what would this look like? How could I go about making this happen? And you start thinking along those lines, and you throw it out there, and we got creative with him and with another investor and the time frame and all that. If a year earlier, that conversation or that one sentence he said would have just flown over my head and never would have even triggered this idea of, like, I wonder how we can make this work out. Really, really cool. But the mindset thing, and I know we talk a lot about mindset, and I know you are kind of, I don't know, real estate Yoda or something like that. Like, a lot of people come talk to you for wisdom on real estate or whatever. Like this wise real estate, you just sit in a field all day and people just keep coming into you like, yes, what do you need? And like, you give people pep talks. And so I know I saw on social, one of our listeners occasionally, Katie, she is a listing agent. I think she's flipped before, but she came to you to ask for some advice about, kind of how to get back in the flipping game, I guess. And I think you had told her, like, look, just keep doing what you do. You're really good at, just sell houses right now. Just get back in the game, sell houses. And she's in this neighborhood that I'm really familiar with, Castle Hills, which we mentioned last week. And it's a huge neighborhood. And what's funny about, so she's killing it over there right now. It seems like every other week she's like a new listing or just sold or whatever. And when my very first agent that I worked for over in Flower Mound, Keller Williams, is like, I joined a group. I didn't know anything. And I remember one of our very first conversations, we we're kind of talking about what part of town I live in. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm real next to here. I mentioned something about Castle Hills because it's right around the corner. And she was so dismissive, and she said, no, just don't waste your time. That's just a waste of time. You won't ever sell anything in there. That's a real tight knit group. A lot of stuff sells off market. And it wasn't like, hey, I know it's tempting because it's nice houses. Why don't you? No, it was just like this real, like, you'll never sell anything in there. So knowing that in the back of my mind, and then to see someone that I don't know, but know she's doing great work over there in Castle Hills, I'm like, okay, it's definitely possible to break into that world. And again, it's like a mindset thing. It's like you just put your mind to it and figure it out.
I believe she lives there or near there, and so she's like picked it just like you talked
like a farm
about before.
Yeah.
You be in Hebron High School, and dial that in. It's like you network in that area, you live in that area, the area, the schools, and being an expert in your area. And one thing that she does, and I've seen this a lot, is she will go out and view and film, social media wise and other people's listings. So there's several times where she's active on social media and somebody else's project and promoting it for them, which is helping the seller, helping the other agent. But it also puts eyes and ears on her, involved in real estate, involved in Castle Hills, involved in this type of luxury.
And a lot of people
product.
don't know the difference. They just see a post and they're like, "Oh wow!"
Exactly. It's just it's content, right? And and you think, who do I know that's in real estate, right? We need to sell our house. Who do I know? Oh, I know this person, or I know Katie. We've had glasses of wine together, or we've hung out before, and I don't know her really well, but man, she's busy. She seems to know the area, and she's active in real estate, right? That's what she does. And our original conversation really had to do with cash flow. Like, it was a point of like, she wanted to fix and flip. She enjoys doing it. She had done some luxury stuff before, and, had one that kind of got a little crazy. She had other ones that were successful before, but she had some big projects that she took on that were challenging along the way. And, she had some cash that she was willing to invest and wanted to get back into it. And I'm like, what are you going to do for cash flow? Like, in the meantime, you're talking taking on a project that's going to eat up, 4 to 6 months before you're getting a paycheck, before you're getting a paycheck. So what are you doing in the meantime? So, we talked about that and building a cash flow business, which is low overhead essentially.
Yep.
And allows you to, get that momentum going. And then as you manage your money, then you're able to kind of get back on track and then have more of that deal hierarchy mindset. Now your mind shifts from how do I list it to how do I buy it?
Yeah.
And it's completely polar opposites on that spectrum, because now you're in a position and you're ready and you're prepared, and now you start thinking differently.
Yeah.
Right.
And not that you have to flip over there, but what's really cool about that, so that's a 4,300 home development. We talked about last week, there's a 3,400 home development going in up north. And I was like, I wonder how that compares. Well, Castle Hill is huge, has a little shopping area downtown. I think it was probably built, if I had to guess, like, our neighborhood was starting to be built in 2012. Castle Hills was well before. I think it was early aughts, probably 05 to 8, maybe in there, I'm guessing. But golf course community. So some of those homes are creeping up on 20 years. And I guess, once you kind of become the go-to or one of the go-to people in an area, then it turns that corner, and in another 5 or 10 years, now these houses are the ones that you can actually do value add with. And you can pick up as a distressed. You have an original owner that's been there 30 years at that point, and they've never updated anything. And you can go in there. And so you can kind of do both. So,
well, and the benefit of farming an area, statistically, most people stay in their home average of 5 to 10 years. Right. And so, again, going back to what you said, when the homes were built and when the time expires, in those timelines, obviously we've got other factors that play now when it regards to interest rates and things like that. People kind of in the middle tier. We've talked about that before, with selling your house, that, you're in a weird price point because you're kind of in the middle of like the second time home buyer, and they're like, well, do I really need to move? We're locked into a really good interest rate, our payments are low, or lower than
Yeah.
going into the middle tier. And do we really need this extra space? Is what it kind of boils down to, right?
Hmm.
And people are making decisions to kind of stay in a smaller home based on financial decisions versus, stepping into a bigger space. Now,
Yeah.
when rates change, I think, you'll see more moves taking place. But
Hmm.
um,
Maybe later this year, and we will keep an eye on that. But yeah,
yeah,
keep killing it, Katie. And along those lines, I mean, your advice for me, and like your encouragement to me, and I know just a lot of other agents. I mean, you've run a big team before, but I know a lot of people, just reach out to you. They just know. And speaking of, I mean, like you've been in the business a long time. People, they just know you as a real estate guy, real estate Tavis, and they call you to try to sell houses or get advice or what should I do, or do you have anything, and after a while you just kind of become someone's resource. And that's what I'm trying to get to, transition from being friend guy that from some circle, or the therapist guy that you knew for 10 years, and then now going into that full-time real estate
yeah,
mindset of like, you want to be the real estate, you're still the same guy, good guy, trustworthy, all that stuff, but you actually are really good at real estate, and changing people's mindset to see them as, see you as that takes a little while. You've been in it a long, long time. I see the tide turning some, and that's also why you meet brand new people that don't have any context of who you used to
sure,
be. But you keep putting yourself out there, you keep getting at bats, you keep doing small deals and making the most of it. I've told a lot of people, like, once I go to a lot of these new agent classes, and I'll say, just get one deal, get one piece of one deal.
yeah,
And you can own that 9 different ways. And you can talk about that deal to other people, and it'll sound like you're doing 5 different deals. And because you said last week when I closed a deal, or that's the first time I closed a deal, or I sold a house in this neighborhood the other day, or, oh my gosh, the other day when I was walking a house, and it's all the same thing. But
hmm
you can talk about it, 9 different ways, and it gives you so much confidence. So
well, and one thing you've done, and we talked about it yesterday at lunch, and you were talking about, the irons in the fire, right? All your prospects that you have right now, and you know, that laying those out, and you've got a lot of irons in the fire, and that's something that, when I first started my career early on, 2004 going in 2005, we were in a slow market, and Tabitha and I had a serious conversation, and she's like, you've got, you need to get a real job. Like, this isn't working. And, and it had to do with, money management a lot too. Like, you'd get a big paycheck. You're used to working a 9 to 5 job. Prior to that, you get paid every 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden now you get a big fat check, but you've
mm-hmm,
got to learn to stretch that out over 3
mm-hmm,
months. And so, like, I had all these irons in the fire going into the new year, and I asked for 90 days. I said, just give me 90 days. And it was a hard conversation, because she
yeah,
was like, you gotta have to get a real job. And so, 90 days is here, and I closed 15 deals in 90
wow,
days. Like,
wow.
that was how many irons I had in the fire that were just like waiting to,
And he just
like,
bust open the front door and just throw money on the floor. Is this good enough for you? Yeah, been there.
yeah. It was wild.
Um,
Mind you, the price points back then were like $100,000 deals, but it was still
that's
15
awesome though.
deals.
When
Yeah.
you put your mind to it. I mean, I'm sure I could kick it up another gear, but I'm doing the best I can right now. Well, I won't say that. I'm doing a lot. I'm going to a lot of classes, talking to a lot of people, getting a lot of at bats. And the more you do that, the more people, like my buddy that runs the property management group, he said, "Hey, would you want to do this?" There's just, you get, the more you practice, the luckier you get.
Yep.
And so anyway, all right, we're not going to do a market update today. We did one last week. Check that out if you want to go back and do that. We're going to do about once a month. So why don't we talk about a little bit of news? And first article is out of Houston, but they mentioned Dallas. And this article says, Texas, the land of millionaire renters. Houston and Dallas lead the country in growth of 7-figure individuals who choose to rent. This is from Paper City. Never heard of it before, but I guess
Yeah.
it's like an
Wow.
online paper or whatever. And they have all these like actual statistics of like, well, in 2023, there was 179 millionaires that rented. I'm like, how in the world do they even know that? But I don't know where they're pulling their
Yeah.
statistics, but I mean, the story is more and more high net worth individuals are choosing to rent a lot of the high end condos. Last week we talked about some really expensive rentals in Dallas, $45,000 homes, $40,000 rental, $15,000 rental in Richardson that we know the guy that built that. And so the thing that kind of piqued my interest here is, does this hint at some sort of trend in like, would it ever convert to have a higher end rental, like really go all out, let's say on a single family home, or it's more of like your lock and leave type deal, but you just make it super luxurious, and you could charge a premium because there's people out there that want the premium. That money's not really the option, and money's not really the obstacle. They just want to be taken care of. They want to feel luxury and that sort of thing. And so a lot of these condos where they have all these amenities and all that stuff. But what my mind went to is like, I wonder what this means. Could you have a luxury, almost like the, Aaron's Airbnb that's meant to be luxury? And could that translate to your normal everyday renter, that their options out there are kind of limited to these really nice condos? Could you do it in a neighborhood and just go all out and maybe furnish it, and like you're really going after this market? That would be an interesting. I mean, it would be a gamble, but it would be.
Well, so it's an interesting statistic, and I think it is happening, more often. And I've heard this before. I don't have all the statistics in front of me, but London, for instance, is made up of a majority of renters versus owners. And obviously somebody owns that property that they rent, but if you think about it, and statistics like, so average price point right now is, for decent houses, what, 400,000. It was what,
440 is our average right now.
Yeah, so 440. So 440, the average down payment of that, even if you do like FHA with 3.5% down, plus closing costs. I mean, you're talking over $30,000.
Yeah,
right.
For the actual down payment plus like your fees. And stuff
so it's going to cost you $30,000 minimum to put down on it, and then your average payment for something like that is going to be what, close to $4,000. Right. So $4,000 a month plus up, coughing up, over 400 or over, over $30,000 to buy something. Mind you, yes, there's long-term benefits to buying.
There's equity, there's tax.
Equity gain, you get tax benefits.
Like my buddy, I helped them find a rental, and he said something I never thought about this last year. Josh Miller, videographer extraordinaire, worship guitar and singer. He said when they were selling their house and buying a rental, he said, if you own a house, your mortgage, that's the minimum you're going to pay for housing that month, because you're paying your mortgage, you're going to pay for pool upkeep, you're going to pay, something's going to go wrong, something else is your responsibility. But that mortgage and your utilities, that's the minimum you're going to pay that month. And then if you rent something, that is the maximum you're going to pay that month. And so from a budgeting standpoint, there is something to be said there. It's like, if you just want some stability, and they were in a little bit of an older house, and so they had felt that, okay, we got to fix this, we got to fix it, we got to upgrade this. And I think they had gone on this real run where it's just a constant. And so I'd never really even thought about that, just from the peace of mind and budgeting standpoint. Like, yeah, you're right. If you rent something, it's pretty much all your housing line item is pretty consistent. But yeah, so that's funny you say the mortgage of 4,000. Well, so it mentions this.
Yeah, I mean, and like, so a friend of ours, Matt, lives in a townhome, and I don't know if he's paying $2,500. Maybe he's paying $3,000. He might be paying $3,000 a month. I don't know, but the properties sell for over $500. So he's like, why would I buy?
Yeah, he should be paying twice as much.
Yeah, if I put like 20% down on this thing, I'm putting $100,000 down to get my mortgage somewhat even close to what I'm paying right now for rent, but I'm exposed, $100,000 put down on this. Well, why would I do that versus rent? So I do think there's something to be said. And if you are, quote unquote, a millionaire, and you've got cash flow coming in, there's a lot of other places that you can distribute cash,
Sure, you can
especially
get
if you're,
returns in other areas.
yeah, especially if you're not like locked in to where, you have kids in a certain school program, or you
Sure.
want kids to stay in this district. There's a
Hmm.
lot of different factors that go into, the reason behind owning a home or buying a home. And obviously, we're in real estate. We make money by other people buying homes versus, renting homes. We do make some money renting, but ideally, if we're one of these owners that are buying in this market and trying to rent it, you're upside down,
Yeah.
and so it's a negative cash flow scenario. Now, if we bought the property 20 years ago, then, it might cash flow, it might break even,
Yeah.
which is what's going on with some of my rentals, is that they don't cash flow heavy, but they have a good amount of equity in it. There's tax benefits that come along with it. From
Yeah.
a cash flow point, they're not sexy, right?
Well, and I mean, the
Um,
reality is like not everybody makes housing decisions based on what's the very best financial decision long term,
exactly.
And like this
But
is talking about here, like the Crescent in Dallas rents for $41.75 to $19,500 for the penthouses a month.
wow.
But I mean, you're downtown, you're in uptown,
Yeah.
and you've got all these different amenities. You feel like you're living in a nice hotel. You're around other people who choose to live the same lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think
One,
there's a lot to be said kind of
well, and
for
let's
this
just think that
mindset.
and let's say you have investments in something else, and your
Yeah.
dividends pay you $5,000 a month. Why
Yeah.
not go rent something off those dividends?
Well,
Like,
and if you, and then, and when you don't want to renew your
$5,000
lease
a
and
month and near downtown is going to give you a pretty sweet place. Like,
yeah,
I mean, that
yeah.
that buys you a lot, right? So, um,
Well, it better buy you a lot.
if you're renting anything between, what's that?
It better buy you a lot. I mean, that's a
Yeah. I
chunk,
mean, you're going
it's
to
like,
be in an apartment or a condo type of deal, and it might be a one bedroom, or something like that. But
yeah.
I mean, it's still going to, you're going to be in uptown or,
Well,
something like
the
that.
other
And it's
thing I
going to be a
thought of
pretty
though
sweet
is like
place.
what the other thing and you have you have a mid-20s son. I've got a younger, 19-year-old son. This also made me think of if actual millionaires, actual people who are doing well are renting and wanting to live in these super nice condos to live the lifestyle. How many people who literally can't afford it but are trying to afford it are trying to sort of hang and do the same thing and doing
Well, we're in
everything they
Dallas,
can to
so
like,
I mean, there's probably 90% of the people that do it can't afford
yeah,
it.
it's like, oh, this is such a great idea. But then you have, tons of people downstream who are like, man, just don't do this. Please just
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
live with a friend. Go buy a condo and a 2-bedroom condo for $115,000 over by Oak Lawn and just call it a
Yeah.
day and just have a
Yeah.
good time. All right. So talk about trends. I don't really think we need to share the screen here. There's nothing much to look at. But in Dallas Morning News, uh, there is a trend back towards golf clubs, and they're trending lower. They're spending a ton of money to renovate these things. I'm sure this also will have something to do with the housing along golf courses. A lot of those are older. I'm sure there's aging homes, and those are turning over to newer families and renovating. But this whole article is talking about just how much money some of these companies are putting into golf courses. There's been a rejuvenation towards the club memberships, and it's more family oriented. It's not just the guys going to play golf. It's they're putting in all sorts of amenities for kids and families and restaurants and gyms and all these things to really try to go after every member of the family.
Yeah.
And again, I thought, okay, well, if you're not a golf person, but there's basically saying is there's money out in the marketplace and they're looking for, and I kind of thought like maybe this is a return to a desire to connect with people face to face, because
Yeah.
we have so many opportunities online and we're so digital all the time that maybe there's people that are willing to spend the money to actually just be person to person and go do physical things and kind of have real friendships and that sort of thing. And so what would that mean to other investments and maybe doing, of course you have, tennis and all sorts of pickleball. It seems to be exploding. And so maybe there is this cool movement towards investments and property types that could kind of lend itself to this mindset. So I thought that was cool because I don't play too much golf. I know it's terribly expensive, and I've always said that's too expensive to suck at something. It's like I can't just show up once a quarter, pay a couple $100 and be
golf is
horrible
all
at
about
something.
consistency,
But I mean, it's fun. I mean, it is a good time.
Speaking of that, a friend of ours, was telling me the other day the kids are like, in swim meets this summer, and I was like, oh, really? Where are they doing? Are they doing it through the rec? Are they doing it through Plano? Where are they going? He goes, no, they're Glen Eagles.
No,
They've
the
got a
club.
swim team at Glen Eagles. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. So, and the wife plays tennis and he plays golf and,
Yeah.
and a lot of times, lunch is usually there at the club, I mean, you've been there with me before.
Yeah. Glen Eagles is old school because they still have a men's entrance. And it's funny because you walk in and there's the men's entrance to the locker room, but the door you walk in, it's a bar and restaurant. I mean, it's like, and right behind that are the locker rooms, but it's like a men's club, and I don't see them changing that, anytime super soon.
They have a woman's side too, so.
Is it the same though? I mean, have you ever?
I don't know. I've never been in there.
Is it just nice? Okay, just real quickly, Dallas Morning News. We've talked about McKinney possibly getting commercial service for an airport, and it looks like that is for sure happening. And
okay, so their veto did not work out.
Yeah, all the protests.
They were trying to veto it on the national level.
I think they were trying anything they could, and I think it seems like maybe it was just one of those things that was bigger than wheels had already been set in motion, for lack of a better phrase. But there's all sorts of sketches of the new terminal, and they know exactly where the terminal is going to be. And so this group just bought, and this also will tell you that there's been things in motion for a while, but a group just bought 422 acres just north of the drawing of where the new terminal is going to be. And they're going to make a light industrial space there. And so,
I bet.
And so that whole area seems to be developing. And so I don't know how many years it'll take to actually get off the ground, but it sounds like McKinney's going to have some sort of commercial service.
Well, and so that's also going to, cause Princeton and all the surrounding areas,
Sherman, Denison, all that. I mean, that's where they're going to want to fly out of. I think there'll be a huge demand.
If you live in Sherman or Denison, and that's probably a big push for it, right? It's like that's a lot closer to driving all the way back to DFW.
And if nothing else, they'll have private. They'll expand their private service out there. But I mean, if you can get a commercial, flight. It might even be something like when we used to fly out of Monroe.
Think about like the Alliance Airport. Alliance, there's a lot of commercial stuff that goes in and out of there.
Yeah. When we would fly out of Monroe, and it would never really go directly anywhere. It was all these kind of smaller American Eagle hopper type planes. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure those don't take up nearly as much space. And maybe that's where they're going to start out there is you can just get down to Houston, San Antonio, Oklahoma City, maybe a Vegas or something like that, kind of a small kind of hopper type deal. Who knows? But pretty cool. Let's touch on this. You were not familiar. I will share my screen here. So when I flipped Mapleton, 1708 Mapleton, it was in a neighborhood in East Dallas called Casa Linda, and off of Buckner cool near White Rock Lake.
Inspired.
Yeah. So there's an article this week located in Casa Linda. There is a new neighborhood that will feature 15 historically inspired homes placed among mature trees. And in the last couple of weeks, I've said, man, if I could do a project, I would just really try to do it, keep a lot of the trees and just make it look cool. And so this caught my eye, and they have some sketches. And I said the name Eddie Maestri, and he's the architect designer that's going to be doing a lot of these. The developer, Jeff Barron, is the person actually building the houses. But Eddie Maestri of Maestri Studios, I will click over here. I was trying to find just maybe some examples of maybe what they've done, but so it's a lot of art pictures of kind of things that don't really show me much. So I don't know if he's like he sells candles, he's got chairs. So I guess he's maybe a famous designer. I sound pretty ignorant right now. But
That's cool though.
but I mean, the fact that they're using design forward influence to go with these houses, it does look Tudorish. It looks like it's probably going to be either whitewashed brick or stucco on the outside on a lot of them, just kind of from the sketches. So yeah, I was really excited because the crossroads that they were talking about were right there where Mapleton was, and I think maybe our flip at Mapleton sort of it made people think what's possible over there. Like
Yeah.
I redefined what's possible in Casa Linda once
Absolutely.
they saw
You
that.
actually
They're
did.
like, you
I
know
mean,
what?
that was a good flip. I mean, you learned a lot on it, but you know, ultimately, once the project got done, I mean, it moved quickly.
Mhm.
You had some challenges. I mean, it back to a busy street.
Yeah.
You know, it had things that made it more challenging. You know, and you got over that. You know, I mean, if you had the team that you know we have now, you would have got it done. You know, much faster.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, but
But yeah, it turned out
okay,
great, and we used the green cabinets and the gold hardware, and we kept the natural floors. There was a lot of things about that. We had value add because we actually went from 4 little bitty bedrooms to 3 bedrooms with a really large primary suite and nice bathroom. So several things that we did, I was just really, really happy with, and how it turned out was cool. And but yes, I think I may have started a movement over there. Never mind the Jason Castro beautiful house right down the street. I'm sure it actually looks way more like this house here. But
yeah,
maybe I inspired him. Last news story. We will touch on this because this is going to be all over the news. This is all over the news. Zillow has officially started banning listings. They are in a little tiff, and by little I mean I think pretty big, with Compass Realty,
mm-hmm.
and they're suing each other. But the bottom line is Zillow is saying if you market things off market as a private pocket listing,
Mm-hmm.
then you will not be able to market on our platform, and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to impact thousands of homes. And I guess where Keller Williams differs is that we don't have a publicly facing pocket listing website. We can
Right.
only show our pocket listings
Yeah, and I guess
to
the
clients.
Compass, if you're a client of Compass and you build a profile and you go into Compass's profile,
You can see all that.
then you have access to
I
their
see.
stuff.
Yeah, ours is way more, you can send a listing to somebody like, hey, this is on our private collection, but that's not a public site that you can just go browse through and maybe.
Sure. Ours is truly off market, you
Yeah.
know, in that private collection with just our internal office. And a lot of them we've seen go from private to, or, you know, private collection, then go public.
Well, and I think even these statistics say it's like 90% of, I would imagine even Compass says that, it's like
Yeah.
90 to 95% or something like that go to the MLS. But what they're saying is, the attempt to try to sell it off of this and keep it off of our, platform, when Zillow makes money from eyeballs, they just need eyeballs.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where if Compass and KW and Berkshire and all of these big ones said, yeah, that's not how it's going to work. We'll just take our listings off we won't allow our listings to be on Zillow. If enough of them said,
I mean,
yeah, we
Zillow's
just won't
cool
syndicate
from
you.
Zillow's format is nice. It's easy to share on Facebook and things like that,
Yeah.
but it's not all be all, right? Like you have realtor.com that we all have access to because we're, part of the National Association of Realtors. There's a lot of different websites out there that do the same thing Zillow does, but Zillow has just become such a giant.
Yeah.
And it's the navigation, that the engineering behind the website is well done.
Oh, it's a great platform.
And it's easy to share, and it's easy to look at video or pictures. Like there's nothing more annoying than getting like a listing sometimes with realtor.com or some of these other ones, Redfin or something like that, and they want you to like log in, or you click on a picture and then it only lets you go to the main picture, and then you gotta like navigate in. Like you lose interest pretty quick. It's like, no, I'll just pull it up in MLS.
Yeah.
So
well, and I don't have the details, but someone did mention this, and I remember Zillow actually had an iBuyer program for a while, and I don't even.
They did,
and it's like, well, how ironic! You're mad that people are trying to, you're punishing people for buying and selling properties off market, and you had a whole business division for a while that was your off market buying, and maybe I don't know if they sold them off market too, but I mean, you can list your house on Zillow, I think, for sale by owner, I would imagine. I don't know why. And so I don't know.
I know you can do it on the rental side. The
rental you can side definitely do rentals.
It has been beneficial.
Yeah. I mean, so they're the 800-pound gorilla. They can kind of do whatever they want, but it is interesting to see how many of will NAR sort of step in and say, this is how it's going to go. Can enough people stand up to them and say, yeah, we're going to pull our listings off of your stuff? I don't know. It's very, but they've been talking about it, and they've been threatening, like, okay, we're not going to show these. We're not going to show these. And July 1st was the day. And evidently they are holding to it. And there are going to be thousands of listings that have been pre-marketed on off-market sites that will not show up on Zillow. So we will see how all of that plays out. Well, that'll do it for today. We are bumping up right at an hour, and we do appreciate you hanging with us. If you have not, please check out our YouTube page, Real Estate Heavyweights, on YouTube. If you have not subscribed to Spotify or Apple, do that, so you always know when we have a new episode up. Find us on Instagram. I'm, of course, Ashton Hines, Dallas Real Estate Guy. Tavis Westbrook Designs is also on there. Share us with a friend. Tell people that they need to be listening. If they're in the Dallas market and they're interested in real estate, if you are a professional real estate agent or investor, we try to help those folks out too. If you're buying and selling and just want to know what's going on in the market, that's what we're here for as well. So until next time, hope you have a great day.
Thanks, guys.